ceremony in honor of Mohammed Kolugege. We're so grateful to have you and your colleagues here and your family. We're honored by your presence. And welcome to all the people tuning in online. We're grateful that you're participating with us. These Seacology Prize ceremonies, I have to say, are like the best day of the year for me. It's so fun to see these wonderful conservationists who often against great odds are doing their best to save crucial environments. A quick note on how this thing all started. I'm an ethnobotanist, and I was living in a remote family, my wife, and everything was just going great. We had a hut on a beautiful white sand beach, no running water, no electricity, just a mat that we slept on, and it was started cutting down this massive rainforest, one of the largest lowland rainforests in the Southwest Pacific. And the villagers were really weeping about this. Why did you let these guys in here? And they explained that they were required by the government to build a new school, or the teachers would be pulled by the government. They said, we're just poor reef foragers. And suddenly this logging company shows up and offers them the exact amount of money, $85,000 that it cost to build this school. So I met with the chiefs and I said, what if we could raise the money for that? Could you stop it? Well, the village sent two chiefs armed with machetes running up the road to the rainforest. And the logging operations, they're not like Paul Bunyan with a double-bladed axe. It's big bulldozers and chains, and it's horrible. They sent them away. And so I came home to Barbara with good news and bad news. Good news is we'd saved a 30,000-acre rainforest. Bad news is we'd have to sell our house, our car, maybe one of the kids. Because in a moment like that, because Barbara took my hand, she looked in my eyes and she said, Paul, how many times in our life will we have an opportunity to do something like this? Let's go for it. So we started cashing out, and fortunately, some great friends, family members all started chipping in. And Murdock, who's with us this evening, and who's sponsoring this event. I met with Ken. I don't know if Ken can remember that meeting, but he had his lawyer there, Lauren Israelson was his name. He says, what do you need to see me? Supplement companies. And I said, well, I need you to help me pay for this school. And he says, and Ken says, what do I get in return? I said, well, absolutely nothing. In fact, I'm going to make you sign a paper announcing all land rights. And Ken said, I don't get offers like that every day. I want to hear more. So we started Seacology. It was not something we designed. It's just something we fell into. And once we built that school and protected the forest, we started getting offers. They needed water supplies. They needed clinics. The only way they had to raise the money was to sell out their environment to industrial interests. So now a quick message on this particular ceremony. Our first recipient of the Seacology Prize was a Samoan chief named Ulu Taufa Assassina. We had got some funds from the Swedish Nature Foundation, and I got a call from one of my colleagues in Uppsala that they were meeting to decide the fate of this Samoan village. And I thought, well, maybe they ought to hear from the people before they do that. So I called up. There was a little radio phone on the island near Ulu, and got a message to him. I said, get yourself to the other island to the airport, and there'll be a ticket waiting for you. So I meet Ulu in Minneapolis in the airport. Susan lands, one of the people in the airline says, Dr. Paul Cox, you're here. Yes, I go off. There's a guy here. The only English words you can say is your name. I said, yeah, I know who that is. Don't worry. So here's Zulu, and he's wearing a lava. He's wearing flip-flops. It's January. He said, oh, thank goodness I can see you. Nobody can understand me. I said, yeah, that's not a common language here. But we got on the plane for Stockholm. We go to Stockholm. It was just amazing being with Ulu. And we walked in, and Ulu said to this meeting, he said, well, I hear you discussing the fate of our village. He said, we're poor people, but we love our forest. And we'd be very grateful if you'd keep your money. And then he said, let's go. He said that to me in Samoan. I said, well, what do you mean, let's go? He says, I have spoken. I'm the chief. I said, well, that's true. So we walk out, we go back to the little place that's living in Uppsala, get the village, and this little radio phone, they're all in there. And he says, we turned down the money from these people, and they started cheering. You hear people weeping because their culture is sacred to them. It's so important. No amount of money can compensate them for that loss or loss of sovereignty over their forest. So Seacology began really focused on those two issues. One was our deep desire, all of us, to protect the world's precious resources, particularly in islands. And secondly, the ability to work with Indigenous people, to acknowledge what they consider to be sacred, and to support them in their efforts to conserve their environment. So Indigenous people plus environmental conservation equals Seacology. Then we decided there's lots of prizes around for scientists. I didn't know of any for Indigenous conservation. Ulu, back to my home We had everybody we could find in the living room. Ken was there. He gave this beautiful talk, and which I translated, about how he had pledged to his father on his father's deathbed that he would protect the rainforest. It was very touching. So we thought, this is something we want to do. So Ken Murdock thought this was such a good idea that he sponsored this ceremony annually. And so we're so grateful tonight to have our honoree here who's done extraordinary efforts protecting some of those precious environments in the world. So with that as an introduction, let me turn the time over to a man who is not only charismatic and deeply committed, but I think he's sort of a nice guy. And that's Duane Silverstein, please. Thank you. Executive Director of Seacology.
Thank you, Paul, and let me add my welcome to those here and those watching online on our annual Indigenous Peoples Day, fittingly enough, celebration. We don't go for a lot of public events at Seacology, so we like to take this opportunity to fill you all in a little bit of what we've been doing in the last year and in the past. So I will jump right into that. And okay. So this is a summary of what we've accomplished. We have 432 projects in 70 countries, 1.5 million acres protected, 28 part-time, and only 9 full-time staff. Obviously, with 432 projects, what we can tell you about tonight is just a little drop in the bucket of what we do, but let's dive right into that. So we'll start at the Dominican Republic. And here we launched a national initiative, a public education campaign about mangroves. Mangroves are trees that grow at the border of water, and therefore they have these still. Public education campaign is needed is because almost wherever mangroves are, people do not understand their benefits. They think, okay, there's a lot of mosquitoes there. I'm going to keep away from the mangrove forest. But they serve as the nurseries for young. They also greatly ameliorate the damage from natural disasters such as hurricanes and tsunamis. And finally, as a gift to the whole world, they sequester tremendous amounts of carbon. And it's very important for the local people to know this. And before I continue, okay, let me go back here. I'm going to take a quick diversion here to this word, manglares, that you can see here. There are happen to be a lot of my friends who play pickleball who are here tonight. And they may recognize that word manglares because I always, the other day, somebody, not one of the pickleballers here, but another pickleballer came up to me and said, excuse me, what are manglares? And I said, manglares, I'm not representing some cruising the pickleball courts for a date. It's manglares, which is Spanish for mangrove forest. So with that, we'll continue. Okay, so one of the keys to our public education campaign, and we just don't want to do dry education in schools or anything like that. One of the many hearts of this campaign is something we call Play for the Mangroves, where we teach kids in exchange for them doing something on behalf of the mangroves. That might be planting mangroves, cleaning up a mangrove forest. But the real goal of this campaign is not the little good things they do, which do mount up and are important. It's to get the kids to be ambassadors for the mangroves throughout the country and tell their mothers and fathers and classmates. This is a little of this program in action. We provide uniforms, and in this case, we do volleyball and baseball because those are the two most popular sports in this country that is very sports-centric. And there the kids, the young women are playing volleyball. And here is the quid pro quo. Then the kids go out to plant mangroves in this case. And I've had the privilege of being at some of these Play for the Mangrove events, and the kids are so enthusiastic. It's not like kids in the US and the teacher is making them plant some stay later, et cetera. The program is working fantastically. So we're really happy about that. Some other projects that we do in the Dominican Republic, here in Las Calderas, as one of these quid pro quo win-win deals that Paul briefly talked about in the founding of Seacology. Excuse me, in exchange for conserving 173 acres of land they needed to produce organic honey, the beekeepers. And again, as always, this is something the village asked. This is not something we're sitting in an office in near San Francisco saying this is what you should have. This is the typical modus operandi of other international organizations. And so the first year of existence of this honey producing facility, they came out with this product, and the label says in Spanish, honey that conserves the mangroves. And they came in second place as the second best honey in all of the Dominican Republic. So that was a pretty good start. Here's another project we do in the Dominican Republic in San Lorenzo Bay. In exchange for conserving over 2,000 acres of mangrove forests, we helped them rebuild their office. This is a local grassroots organization that had burnt down. And in addition to that, The fishermen there now serve as guides for tourists going on mangrove trips. And so they're earning a sustainable income and cutting down on their fishing. So this is one of these win-win-win projects. Now we go to a video. This is about a project in Raja Ampat, which is the center of marine biodiversity in a remote part of Indonesia, where we provided the requested funding for a kindergarten, a badly needed one, in exchange for adding 100,000 acres to a marine protected area. The project is working really, really well. Checking it out along with our trusty videographer, Stefan Runzel, who made a video about this project. Many of you may not realize it, but the #1 watched television channel in the world right now is YouTube. So we're starting to put more and more videos on YouTube, and it's an 8-minute video, too long to show here, but hopefully, if technology works, we can show the trailer right now.
Venturing out into a rapidly changing world.
Untuk harapan kedepannya, anak kami harapannya sesuai dengan apa yang nanti diinginkan oleh anak kami.
His uncle, a guardian of ancient treasures. The richest marine biodiversity on Earth.
Tempat ini surga.
Earth on the brink of its 6th mass extinction.
Some studies say that the majority of coral reefs will be gone within 30 years.
Every one of us that live in a society should take some part of that.
A mutually beneficial arrangement.
We approach island villagers and we ask them what tangible thing do they need for their community in exchange for a rainforest preserve.
A sanctuary where the seeds of stewardship are sown.
Kami dulu itu tidak memiliki yang namanya pendidikan PK itu tidak ada sama sekali. Saya harap suatu saat kalau misalkan sudah besar, sudah dewasa itu misalkan punya pekerjaan atau pekerjaannya seperti saya sekarang, dia bisa menjaga kelestarian laut.
So that's just a trailer to this video. And for the first time ever, Seacology entered one of our videos accepted into the International Marine Film Festival. So off to a great start on that note. And now, and now I'd like to turn the tables over to Mary Randolph, our program director.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about a few programs that we launched in the last year or so. And again, we just picked a few. I would go on all night, but they won't let me do that. So we're just going to talk about a few, starting with one in Sri Lanka. You might remember that we had a 5-year program in Sri Lanka that was focused on mangroves. And Duane was just talking about how important mangroves are. And of course, Sri Lanka is an island country, and it's exceedingly important there where so many people make their living with fishing, and they are the subject of increasingly severe storms, right? And so the mangroves protect. So part of that project was setting up a mangrove museum, and it's actually the only one of its kind in the world. It's turned out to be a really interesting place. First of all, it's the #1 destination for field trips for kids there. So thousands of kids have come through, and it's set in the mangroves. So people they get hands-on education and some classroom stuff as well. But it's also become a gathering point for scientists, all kinds of people who are interested in mangroves. So it's been a great thing. But during COVID, of course, it had to shut its doors. No one could travel, people couldn't gather. There's no more tourists. And so it was shut for a couple of years. And so in 2023, our annual crowdfunding effort was to get money to get the museum opened again. And it has opened its doors. And Karen Peterson was down there visiting, and it's like there's a very dedicated staff. So all these kids are coming there again, and they get to see the mangroves. So we're really happy that that's back. It's a really important thing for the country. And we also started another project this year in Sri Lanka, our first little project since the big one. And it's not on the coast, it's up in the highlands, up in the mountains, which is the habitat of an endangered leopard subspecies called the Sri Lankan leopard. And so what's happened up there is that this is where the tea plantations are. This is where famous Ceylon or Sri Lankan tea comes from. And the forest habitat of the leopard has been fragmented. Make these corridors, basically forest corridors between the fragments to connect the two. And that's a very effective way of providing more habitat for the animals. It lets them find more food, it lets them find mates. And of course, it helps all the other animals too in that ecosystem, not just the leopards. And the other part, Dominican Republic, where we have like Play for the Mangroves, there's a lot of stuff aimed at kids, because if you get the kids, you get the parents, and they really need to know about this because they're going to be the people taking care of it, right? So there's a forest guardian program there, and all these teens are joining, and some of the Seacology grant has gone to setting up these classrooms for the kids. So they go out and plant things. There's Karen when she was there. They plant trees, but they also learn about the whole environment. And there's a lot of potential for conflict with these animals because people live very close to the wild areas. So when Karen was there, one of the teens said to her, "I used to be kind of afraid of the leopards, but now I think they're cool." So that's what we want. That's exactly what we want. This project is all about the turtles. 4 species of marine turtles, all of them endangered. Nest in these turtles is to be able to hire people and train people to gather the nests and bring them to a safe hatchery so they can hatch. So some of the grant went to refurbishing this hatchery, which keeps them safe from predators, people, dogs, lizards, whatever might be after them. They bring them to the hatchery, and they have released an amazing 90. There they go. If you've ever gotten to do that, it's just as fun as it looks, right? To see them go. They're just great. So again, projects. And so some of the people who were gathering the eggs were fishermen. And now they have a motive, especially to protect the turtles. They get some artisanal fishing gear that helps them earn a sustainable living in exchange for their work. Yeah. Some of them need a little help, but they all know where to go, basically. All right. Bye, you guys. So a project in India, endangered otter. And again, there's a potential for humans conflict with wildlife because a lot of people make their living from fishing. Guess who else eats fish? Otters. So there's been some bad press for the otters. And so part of this project is also outreach to people, giving people who might make a living fishing an alternative, right, with wildlife-based tourism. So there's an interpretive center, there's observation platforms. Some of the people can take tourist fishing, just, very small scale fishing. And there's also education. So this is a little glimpse, I think, of the interpretive center. And like a lot of these things, a lot of these places, they come to be used for all kinds of things by the community, right? So people have been coming and offering to teach crafts to kids. And so there's a nice cultural aspect to it. Some of the kids were painting wildlife themed paintings last year, and they took the designs and made wrapping paper. And so, it's just, people are so creative about this stuff, and they're very psyched about it. So this is just one part of that program. Go on to it. So I love doing projects in Madagascar for a couple of reasons. Incredible biodiversity. You probably know more than 90% of all the plants and all the animals in Madagascar don't exist anywhere else. So they're gone from there, they're gone from the world, and that's Seacology's mission. The other thing that makes it so good is that there's such tremendous human need there. It's a very poor country. It's a big project. These 2 villages, please don't ask me to pronounce their names, but they're up in the north around Ridney Bay, and there's a lot of marine turtles there as well, a lot of mangroves, and these 2 communities came together and said they would protect this very large area. So a lot of the people have gotten training. They go out and patrol. They patrol the mangroves, and they patrol to make sure no one's poaching turtles. And what they and also there's a ranger station. That was one of the things that they use Seacology money for, is so they can do better patrols and better surveillance. But the other part of the grant from Seacology has gone to schools, and that's very. So one of these villages got a new school. One of them got a lot of refurbishment together. There's a new well that's providing water, which is also scarce. And a lot of these villages, the people can't read and write, but they want their kids to have a decent school. They're like all of us, right? They want something for their kids. So it is truly a win-win. There's the well. Things we take for granted, right? They do not. Another place that's great for us to work, and I love to work in, is Borneo. That's a sun bear, Borneo, also tremendous biodiversity. I've heard it said that if you count all the trees, the species of trees in 1 acre in Borneo, you would have more kinds than. It's just amazing, and it supports, of course, all kinds of wildlife. It's just teeming. It's a beautiful, in the northern part of the island, in Malaysian Borneo, is off the grid, and they are never going to be on the grid. So that means if they were going to have any electricity, it would be from a diesel generator, which is noisy, expensive, polluting. It's bad all around. But one thing Borneo was really good in the mountains for is microhydro for clean electricity. And that's what they use this grant for. Microhydro pipe, and you divert the water from these fast flowing mountain streams. You run it through a turbine like that, and you get clean electricity for the first time for a village. It's just life-changing for the villages. And these villages are very connected culturally and in every way, I guess, to the forests that they live in. They know every inch, they know all the animals and plants. They're very motivated to protect them. But this gives even more of an incentive, because you can't have a healthy stream unless you have a healthy forest. So they're really keeping the forest very healthy. And another reason I love this project in other microhydro ones is that we work with people, including a former recipient of the Seacology Prize, who are working on microhydro. They have a workshop in Kota Kinabalu with all these young engineers running around, and they're just always coming up with great ideas. And I think this will really be expanded. The last projects I'm going to talk about are our Brazil projects. I just got back from there a couple of weeks ago. I got to visit all 3 projects. All of them are focused on mangroves. All of them are this is Cotajuba up in the north near the Amazon mouth. And we were looking at the map there, the protected areas. We've worked with an organization here that has been around for 25 years helping women. They do all kinds of programs. They help women with what they would call like backyard agroecology, they planting acai trees of things. And they really want to do some more environmental projects after working with Seacology. So that's something we often see. We see sort of, a spin-off effect. So what they're going to be doing is with the grant is replanting some eroded areas in the cliff. And the river there is so big, very eroded. So it needs it. And I toured the nursery and they're just working so hard. They're so smart. They have everything ready to go for the rainy season. We'll be planting. And I was really impressed with all these people. The last project I went to, the last village I went to was called Vila Velha, and it's a 500-year-old Portuguese founded village. There's a church there from the 1500s. And these are some of the fisherwomen that I went out in a boat with. And we climbed over the mangroves and got in the boat and then went to collect oysters and clams and crabs from the mangrove area. And they run a cooperative and they have a restaurant. They fed us all day, including on the little boat. And it was fantastic. And they have such joy working together. They really want to protect the environment. They're so close to it. This woman here was telling me her story, and she's been a fisherwoman since she was 10, and her mother was, and her grandmother was. And they are really working hard here. They got only one grant last year, and that was from Seacology, and that let them go on with these programs that for kids mostly there. They teach kids the traditional dance from this island. They teach them drums. They have a library for them. And had they not had that grant, they couldn't have done that. So they're also working on composting. They have 1,000 things in the works, and it was very inspiring. They used a Seacology grant for water filters. One woman was saying that, oh, it's really nice now because when I cook, I don't have a white residue on my pots every day, So again, these things that we don't think about, right? It's making a huge difference in their lives. After we've been out on the boat and eaten all day, we sat around and the women were talking about their lives and what a difference this had made. And one woman told a story about going to the bank when the Seacology grant showed up at the bank, and she had her paperwork. And the banker is like, whoa, you got it was such a big deal. And she said to me, I feel like we're a hidden village and Seacology found us. And I feel like that's what we're best at because, and I get to see how it makes a difference. And I wish everybody could go to all these places because it's just, you come back so inspired. I think there's a little video here, but anyway, that's really all I wanted to say, I guess. So thank you. Come back to you.
Okay, I know there's a lot of first-time attendees at tonight's ceremony, for which thank you for coming. So I think you're going to be a little surprised with the following, that little old Seacology has won an incredible and national awards. In past years, Paul Cox and I were in Monaco, where Prince Albert II himself awarded Seacology as being the most innovative nonprofit in the entire world. And that is not conservation, not from the US, the entire world. And you can't even apply for that. We just were picked. Okay, another one, many years ago, we were selected as by the California 1,000 nonprofits in California alone as having the most innovative programs. And one that really shocks some people is little old Seacology has also been nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. So here's our latest. Earlier this year, I was at the Wharton School of Business at the University of Pennsylvania to accept the Lippman Family Prize, which is given for outstanding vision, achievement, and inspiration. And 135 international NGOs applied for this prize, and we were selected as the grand prize winner, which came with a nice $250,000 stipend. So just a minute or two ago, Mary had indicated, oh, gee, it's a shame that you guys can't all come and see these projects. And operators are on duty now. We run 2 or 3 or 4 project trips a year. In December, we're going to the Philippines in our annual trip that we run with the California Academy of Sciences. And I know a few of you here are joining me on that trip. And then in Fiji, in May, we're going to open up a project. The whole community turns out. They've been cooking for ages. They're singing songs and whatever. It's really, bring your Kleenex. It's a very emotional event. There are still 1 or 2 rooms available on the Fiji trip. And 2 that you're hearing the first about. We haven't even announced these yet, don't have specific dates. But in late March, early April of next year, we're going to be running our first ever kayak trip along the Baja Peninsula. We'll be doing some whale watching and some snorkeling as well. And this is really an effort to increase the diversity of our audience that comes on these trips, our participants. We want to encourage more and more people from every generation to join us. us. And we will be leading, in fact, Mary will be leading a trip to Brazil. We'll be visiting at least one of our projects there, and it's going to be a terrific trip. Again, not yet announced, but stay tuned for further announcements. And now it is my pleasure to thank two important classes of people, shall we say. What you're seeing here on the screen are our field representatives who are working again in their homes, usually part-time, contract basis throughout the world. And the second group of people I want to thank are our terrific staff. All these 400 plus projects have been done really with just a core staff, conservation organizations you probably heard of. So can I ask the staff to please stand and be acknowledged? A round of applause. Thank you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce Ken Murdock. You heard a little about him in the co-founder of Seacology along with Paul Cox. He is the co-chair of Seacology, and he is the underwriter. I just don't mean the $10,000 stipend that the winners receive, but the food and drinks, the whole shebang. It's my understanding, in fact, that Ken was up late last night cooking and baking for today's festivities.
Good evening, everybody. I always like to comment on what you just experienced. This is a highlight for me. So I can't resist, it's just overwhelming to see that. And it's really awesome. Paul, Duane, and all the staff and all of our 28 representatives out there. So now it's truly my pleasure to welcome you here to our gathering and to honor our special and exceptional individual, the recipient of the 2024 Seacology Prize, Mohammed Kolugege, known to us as KG Mohammed. This marks the 33rd consecutive year that Seacology has presented and celebrated the remarkable contributions of island conservationists. And in that time, we've had the privilege of recognizing 33 individual extraordinary leaders from 20 different countries. Each of these honorees has brought forth a unique narrative woven with threads of hope, resilience, and a lot of courage. Some advocating for preservation of their fragile ecosystems, while others have dedicated their lives to ensure that they have, for their communities, that they can thrive in harmony with nature. Though their journeys may be different, they share a common commitment to safeguarding the environment and the cultures that enrich our world and their world. Tonight, we turn our focus to KG Mohammed, a passionate advocate hailing from the breathtakingly beautiful and remote island of Minicoy, located off the western coast of India. This isolated paradise is not only home to unique ecosystems, but also rich cultural traditions that have flourished for generations. However, in recent years and decades, rapid changes have threatened the delicate balance of nature and culture on this island. KJ's unwavering dedication to his homeland is truly inspiring. He has tirelessly worked to help local fishermen embrace sustainable fishing practices, ensuring that the ocean's bounty can be enjoyed for generations to come. His remarkable leadership has led to a historic agreement among the island's 10 villages to establish a marine protected area, which will be a sanctuary for the diverse marine life that surrounds Minicoy. But KG's commitment extends well beyond conservation. He is also a guardian of his island's cultural heritage. In a world where traditions can easily fade into obscurity, he has worked diligently to preserve the unique language of his people. For years, he has collected everyday objects that were at risk of being lost to time, safeguarding them in a small museum where future generations can appreciate the rich tapestry of their unique history. Furthermore, as a talented songwriter, KJ has passionately promoted traditional folk songs and dancing, ensuring that the vibrant spirit of his culture continues to thrive. His efforts are a testament to the belief that our heritage is just a relic of the past but a living, breathing part of our identity. As someone who has a deep connection to the islands, stemming from my time in the South Pacific, I resonate with KJ's mission. This evening, I'm honored to mother Lullaby Fish Murdock. Her legacy inspires me every day, and it is fitting that we celebrate this spirit of conservation and cultural preservation in her honor. It is with great pride that we present the 2024 Seacology Prize to KG Mohammed for his lifetime of innovative ideas and tireless efforts in protecting the unique environments and cultures of the island of Minicoy, his home. Now we invite you to sit back and enjoy a short video introduction of KG, followed by his words of wisdom and inspiration as our honored prize recipient. Please join me in congratulating KG on his well-deserved recognition. Thank you.
Since my childhood, I've been interested in collecting artifacts.
If he was walking on the shore and he saw anything, he would collect it.
We found broken tombstones believed to have been that of people who were isolated due to smallpox.
Whether they were in broken condition or whatever they were, he felt that these have to be preserved for the future so that the people know what's there in Minicoy before them in the ancient times.
As small children, the whole world was the island, the lagoon, the mangroves, the reef, and the fishes.
Olimati mas belai tu sama indalai tu kocangan. Di bermati ke indala wat takuli bende bermati ke tanggian juga.
We had plenty of fish, plenty of coconuts. Except fish and coconut, they had little, but people felt they had plenty. The village system ensured the scrupulous utilization of these resources.
I first visited Minicoy in 1989. There was a strong social fabric and egalitarian village governance where everyone mattered and felt needed. When I would visit anyone's home, I was impressed with the way furniture was carved and even mundane things like stools for them to sit on in the kitchen were very beautifully painted.
Due to the influence of mainland white, all such items got replaced with plastic.
When I returned to Minicoy almost a decade later, everything that I had valued seemed to be vanishing.
There is an obvious erosion of culture and tradition.
This is when I first met KG Mohammed, and in him I found a kindred soul. He had promoted Mahal, the language of only Minicoy, being taught in primary school as third language competition amongst the villages in Minicoy. He had also helped in reviving the dance and songs which the women used to sing.
KG saibu huridwa hutewa rocheti wara rangala hingade ihun kuriang arwan benon be tewa re tau bide atimati bere mahila samaja man nogo ina evva kamen kurai ena ge minna tegen ahur men kuriang are feba mi
Ruge tanta kundam wanete guna deshevias adi rashuge tanevias gahevias rukevis.
Over the years, there has been bleaching of corals due to global warming. The mangrove patches in Minicoy have been badly affected due to the
Other islanders saw this as a place for extraction of resources. So they were doing octopus hunting, collecting cowries and things, all what Minicoy people were avoiding.
Due to the changes, the livelihood of fishermen has been badly affected.
Masodani wala durakat danje. Ada wat ni putan danje.
Steps must be taken to reverse the process.
This is when we decided on an idea of creating a marine protected area in the hope that if we went to the government, they would notify it.
Mi tere imperium ma KG Mohammed kya mi bepula magi carry abada bas kengulen dehinje. Kaya de ahar mi tere ke mi hai mi hin ahar mi carry ke neto.
We discussed all the issues with the fishermen. The locally managed marine areas, the ecologically sensitive areas must be identified. A map containing all these details should be prepared.
We always wanted the government to do much about the protection of the island for the coming years.
It took about 10 years for this area to get notified by the government as a marine conservation area.
Ahar men MMA masering ehi digin ekang kuda area kole ahar men bandu koppe behet team. Lahenwe demaha kwati ge ti piruwan fehi.
Identifying no-take zones had a very positive effect on the reef, on the availability of bait fishes. Most of the places we found coral growing in a satisfactory manner.
For me, the most important thing he had done was protecting the maritime heritage. With all the shipwrecks of Lakshadweep got protection thanks to him. The shipwrecks had been colonized by corals. I also saw that KG had been collecting a lot of artifacts. He came from a very modest home and his house was small. He had no way to save these things.
The idea of establishing a museum like an unfulfilled dream.
We documented all the customary traditions of Minicoy, the traditional knowledge for various kinds of fishing.
With my collections, a natural and cultural heritage museum was established.
Service to the people of Minicoy because things are fast disappearing.
Mihar bodwa darina to se bale yuwa haka hadan kuran jehe.
KG Mohammed Sar ena kihinetto ahar menge titu adiya muni mi diri ulu mi rashuki diri uli fo oi goi at etche itan etheria genas la dinkamu
Tam pulata ke but ahar men gosse mi tam bale mi bihugaman wa haka mi nugal lele ahar mi di puriya gendang hadamai.
He's one of our uncles and all, because at this age, doing a lot for the islanders, not for the present people, he's also doing for the next generations to come in the coming years.
KG Mohammed, I think, is a person who has been living the mission of Seacology. And even after retirement, he continues to work to protect the environment and culture of Minicoy.
I hope the present generation will come forward and strive hard to protect nature and also preserve the cultural heritage of this island for future.
Outstanding Island Environmental Achievement, the 2024 Seacology Prize in India.
And now we will hear from our prize recipient, KG Mohammed.
Dear brothers and sisters, warm greetings to everyone. Standing before you on this podium in this lovely evening as the recipient of Seacology Award 2024 is like a dream, a thrilling experience indeed. The decision of Board of Directors coming video chat a few months ago was indeed a pleasant surprise for me and my family. For a moment, I felt, yes, the struggles and the woes that seasoned me to face the challenges that surprisingly became my best companion and always. I take this opportunity to express my profound thanks to the Seacology Board of Directors for judging me the winner of prestigious award in consideration of my voluntary services in the field of protecting of my island. More than an individual accomplishment. I consider this international recognition as an achievement made possible due to the unwavering support of my like-minded colleagues under the banner of CARES. I express my thanks to the Malik Maswaringi Jamaat, that is Minicoy Fishermen's Society, and the village movements who supported their effort to create awareness among the people has been sincere and immense. I share the credit of winning this prestigious award with my colleagues and altruistic supporters. Now, about my life that shaped me. I was born in a poor family, and my mother used to go and work in rich people's houses to feed us. However, she was very, she thought that her children should get educated. When I was selected to join the senior secondary school, higher secondary school in Kavarati in 1965 or 66, I didn't see any place at all except my island. So I was a little worried. And I told my mother, please go and tell the headmaster that you are not willing to send your son. She came to the school after last bell of the school, when the school was over, classes were over. And I asked my mother, what happened in the school? She told me that told the headmaster that you should be sent to Kavarati at any cost. So all my hopes were gone here. However, after joining the school in Kavarati, I felt that my mother had taken the right decision. Since my age, children, and then playing games and running here and there, and most of the time swimming, and also as children we had small ponds and then for fishing. So we used to spend the time like that. But once was gone, so things changed a lot. But a surprising thing happened at the time of joining the school. Our age was referred to some incident, the birth, date of birth. So we didn't have a date of birth. The school wanted to admit children, and they put some date so that have the age prescribed for admission. So I too was given a date of birth. That was artificial. And then later on, I came to know that everybody was born on the same date. So if we wanted to celebrate our birthday, then we will have to gather in a place. All these funny things that happened in my childhood. And then people really, wanted me to, work in different fields because I have been very close to them. And dress. This is the dress used for performing lava dance, drum dance. Now I revived it in the 80s. Now when I was responsibility of reviving the dance, and I thought I cannot simply directly participate. So I involved in this as a team member, later as the team captain, team leader, and then I myself, though I was a government officer, I myself wore this uniform and performed the dance. And I had gone to Delhi to present the dance on an IITF program, International Trade Federation, yeah. Now, the first club, sporting club in Minicoy was actually started by me. It was named Pongilol Friends Club shortly. Its abbreviation FFC for the boys. Why I did was because when I returned from Kavarati for vacation, I found so many of my colleagues had left the school, and I thought something must be done. Because to encourage them, their likes and dislikes. Now, so I took some of them to the school and got admitted. And one of them happened to be the father of my daughter-in-law, who is here, Dr. Fawzia Ismail. Then I got a lot of opportunities to interact with many people who went for research work. And also with the administrators. I still remember how Dr. Lotika Varadarajan, who did the research on boat building, there was a special type of boat building in Minicoy and other plants. So that was the subject she researched upon. And former administrators, Ms. Saigal and Wajahat Habibullah, had also inspired me a lot. Now, when I got so close to them because I used to be the mouthpiece of them. I had to translate whatever they wanted to tell to the people. So it was really a tiring job, yet I enjoyed. Now, in the field of creating awareness regarding the environment, ecology, we, like-minded people, got together and discussed what can be done for our people, for our island. And we decided to form an NGO. And it was established in the 70s on a very auspicious day in a columnist. Now, after that, we were functioning in a rented house, rented room in a madrasa. Later on, we started small children. We appointed teachers, and we did so many works to create awareness among the people regarding educators. Now, in the field of creating awareness, environment awareness, we got a lot of support from the schools, especially Navodaya school, principals, Mrs. Stella and Mr. Benny Joseph. Now, actually made possible by the support of Dr. Vinita Hoon. Now, I once wrote a play titled Protect Us to Fishes, Octopus, Turtle, and one animal living on the land, the crane. Crane in the drama is a fellow who had made a research in the Sundarban in Kolkata, and he took doctorate, the Dr. Crane. And he is the one who is listening to the grievances of the animals living in the sea. So when they were discussing about the hardships due to the human intervention, the crane told them that you think you are suffering because of human intervention. We too are suffering. We are not different at all. So the drama was presented by school students on the day of celebrating National Minicoy Fest. A lot of people were there to see it, and everybody liked it. Now, we have received a lot of support from Masweringi Jamaat, that's the Fishermen's Society. They supported us for setting up a locally managed marine areas. I must appreciate the role played by Mr. Hasanachi as the president of Minicoy Fishermen's Society. Now, coming to the shipwrecks. Now, in the ancient times, we had no lighthouse, nothing, no electricity. So after ships, frequently started, passing through that area. Minicoy actually is situated on an international trade route. So a lot of ships used to pass from there. Now, a lot of shipwrecks happened. Now, so they made a proposal for constructing a lighthouse. Now, initially it was rejected. Later on, it was approved, and a Nelagan lighthouse was constructed in 1885. And people thought thereafter such incidents would not occur. But when I was 5 years old, a shipwreck happened. And I saw it with my eyes. It had come up to the land. Now, however, that ship was towed to safety to the deeper sea, and it went off. Now, the shipwrecks were not much known to the people. They start from the sea, that's all. So later, someone from mainland, he came with some people and started shipbreaking. Oh, and he was carrying all the stuff to the mainland and selling. Now, I thought, this is not good because they were destroying corals. Corals gone, the coral colony that was being destroyed. So I spoke to my friend and colleague about what can be done. And he said, he was at that time holding the additional charge of science and technology unit. So he said, we can do. And then I supported him in drafting letters to the authorities. Now, the shipwreck case naturally became very angry. He got some threats, but in spite of it, he continued, writing and communicating with the authorities. Of course, I supported him a lot. At last, shipbreaking was banned, and shipwrecks were declared as, protected areas. Now, all the shipwrecks are the best diving sites in Minicoy. Now, we have organized many beach cleaning and marine debris studies. Now, whenever we conducted such programs, we made it a point to involve children, teenagers, and when we discuss things, sometimes very, very important ideas come from them. So, and when they participate in such programs, they themselves become responsible. Now, we can keep on talking, but doing actually practical, it's quite difficult. So we have been able to inspire youngsters so that they started involving in all such programs, and that's something is very, very satisfying. That I came across a young woman on a passenger ship. Being strangers, we didn't communicate each other. That's natural. And after a few years, same person came to my office and introduced herself. She was none other than Dr. Vinita Horn. She's there. Now, she inspired me a lot, probably because she found in me a like-minded guy. Truly, our meeting was a turning point in my life. The artifacts that I had collected till then, including the remains of Buddhist era, were lying just behind my chair in the office. I was eagerly waiting for someone to explore the possibility of opening a museum, lest my efforts would go futile. Some people, including my relatives, thought that I was crazy. For them, the items collected from here and there were all rubbish. Now, at the same time, many people feared outdated old items, mainly due to my personal attachment with them. While working together as part of a project, Dr. Vinita made a suggestion. She told me that she would make a sincere effort to help me. I was overwhelmed when she got the required funds from the Seacology to her own organization, CARES, in exchange for a covenant for conservation of sensitive marine areas for a prescribed registered NGO. Running a kindergarten, agreed to take up the project with due seriousness as the caretaker, and the movements, village movements, their village heads, they extended their dream of a museum became a reality when the Maliku Natural and Cultural Heritage Museum was inaugurated, by the then honorable administrator. I was on a cloud. Once again, Seacology, particularly Paul Cox and Ken Murdock, and all those who have encouraged me and given me nature and culture of my island. This includes my parents, my wife, children, and other relatives. It's high time we found ways and means to make the encouragement that's being given by the Seacology all around the world. I think people all over the world have to join hands to fulfill. I promise that I will carry from here the sweet memories, and also the Seacology's message to my people. Thank you. Thank you very much. And as a token of tours, the model of sailboat on behalf of whole Lakshadweep, and the other body that's vessel made of coconut shell used by the tree climbers for collecting nira, the sweet toddy, on behalf of Minicoy, my natural island. Can Murdock to please come and receive the mementos. And I request Dr. Vinita Hon, Rebecca Haggett, my son Mamoun Abdul Rahim, and daughter-in-law Dr. Fazia Ismail to bring the mementos to the stage. Please. Please. This is the traditional item used by the tree climbers for collecting sweet toddy.
Salmon culture to acknowledge a gift.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I say?
Yeah, yeah. This is a sailboat used on behalf of people living in other islands, Lakshadweep. I present this to Seacology. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This is going to look wonderful at the Seacology offices, and many, many people will appreciate this for forever.
Yeah, thank you.
This is awesome. Thank you. Now, do we have? Okay. Yeah. Oh, it was that simple. Thank you. There we go. We'll have our board members that are available come up to the front, and we would like to officially actually to
Well, we're grateful everyone is here. This concludes our Seacology Prize Ceremony. We have a reception with ice cream, dessert or something, and I'll give you a chance to visit with KG and his marvelous family. Thanks again for supporting us in this effort.